Welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book podcast. My name is Eric Wilbenaw, the president of the Baseball Blue Book, and today we are up in the Westchester area of New York, Mercy University, with Coach Frank Rodriguez, associate head coach. Congratulations on the promotion, sir. How are you today?
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, it's looking forward to talking to you. I had some specific questions for you as far as pitching, but it sounds like you can probably answer any of the questions that we have with your background and what you've done with schools across a lot of different places. So before we begin, I want to encourage everyone to share this video. Make sure that you subscribe. We appreciate all of our subscribers. We try to get the best content out to the baseball community that we possibly can with great coaches like Coach Rodriguez. So, Coach, we always start with your journey. So why don't you go ahead and give us kind of a background on who you are and a little bit about the journey to where you are today.
Hey, man, my pleasure. Growing up in Brooklyn, played on Youth Service League. Had over 100 guys make it to pro ball out of that organization, and played high school ball at Grand Street campus. It was Eastern District at the time. Now it's Grand Street campus, home of Dylan Betanzas and myself before him. And I was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Red Sox and play 1 year of at short, and went to junior college in Howard Junior College in Big Springs, Texas. Man, it was a great run. I still talk about all those moments like it happened like 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
And got to play almost a little bit under 7, 8 years in the big leagues.
Okay. Well, you know what? The journey. You said you went to a JUCO school. Talk a bit, because a lot of the people that are watching this, a lot of parents, a lot of players. One of the things we focus a lot about is kind of the recruiting process, and obviously it's changed over the years from when you went to school. But talk about the decision to go to a JUCO school, and especially one so far away from where you grew up.
Well, yeah. Well, here's my immediate thought of the current state and how we recruit kids. On the pitching side, if your velo is pretty good, then you're gonna get an immediate chance to be effective and be productive on our team. If you're a young, scrappy kid, we're probably not going to look at you, because now that takes us a year and a half into 2 years before you're fully developed to get where you need to go. So JUCO might be the best route for that. And for me, it was absolutely that. I had a lot of 4 year schools after me, and I was drafted. When I was drafted, it was a little different. They held the rights for you for a full calendar year. So I signed like 6 hours before the deadline of the new draft. And yeah, man, it was great. It was a great run for me. I just didn't feel like I was ready for a 4 year school, a major university. So I hit the weight room and I had an unbelievable season. And fast forward to now.
That's awesome. You talked about knowing kind of where you were. Is that something that you kind of did you have some coaches and family that helped you kind of make that determination? A lot of young kids today, everybody's D1 or bust, and I want to go here. How did you know, and what help did you have on the way along the way to kind of help you determine where you needed to go?
One of the big factors too was that you're not locked in a 4 year school. If you go to JUCO route, you can get drafted again, or at my time, you can get drafted and then either sign or get drafted again following draft. So that played a big factor in me. My mom and I sat down and we spoke about the options, and it just seemed like it was the right move for me, and I took advantage of it and had a great year.
I think that's great. It's great to hear people that have been successful that started that JUCO. We promote JUCOs a ton, and it's so much fun to talk, because the difference between JUCO and the other divisions, and we'll get into what you guys, what you provide and what you're looking for at the program that you're at now. But the great thing about it is it's not a step down, right? It's really understanding where you're at and having the development focus rather than maybe the win focus, right? So talk about that development. You said I got in the weight room. I spent some time doing that and then had a really good year and allowed you to move forward. Talk just a bit about kind of your mindset of doing that and taking the steps that were necessary for you to be successful.
Right. So I think it starts with my motivation when I decided to go to junior college was the last night that the Red Sox were able to sign me. And I don't even remember the guy's name. He called me, we spoke. The conversation went left really quick with the amount of money I was asking for and what I was worth and the amount of money that they were willing to give me. And it ended with, you should take this money. You're never going to get this amount of money in your life. Nobody in your family is going to make this amount of money in their lives. And that was my motivating factor. And the next morning, I got on a plane, heading to Texas, met the head coach at the airport, got to campus. He's like, I'm going to give you a tour. I'm like, no, coach, just give me my dorm room and show me where the batting cage was. And he's like, what happened? And I told him the story, and he was like, well, get going. And I grabbed the
Nice.
bucket of balls, teamwork, and it was just my motivation. I knew that I wasn't going to let anybody not only belittle me or tell me that I wasn't never going to make that amount of money.
Yep.
And just, I don't know, it clicked in my head, and then everything was geared towards just getting better. Every little move that I made, waking up, going to class, eating lunch, eating dinner, then going to practice, was all about baseball for me.
You know
So
what?
that's why the JUCO route helped me.
Well, no, it's great that you say that, because the mindset that it takes to make it, right? You can't just be a good player. It's everything that you do. It's when you wake up, your mind is on the goal. And it's great that you had a coach that was ready to, he embraced you and helped you through that process. I think that's fantastic. So yeah, I can talk a lot about this, because I love hearing the stories of the dedication, right? And it doesn't matter what path that you go when it's the destination, right? It's that path, and I'm always looking forward to where I want to go. And I appreciate kind of giving us that insight. So Coach, talk about your program. I mean, you said you're just promoted to the associate head coach. What does that mean? And what did you kind of what responsibilities have you kind of handed over, or have you held on to the responsibilities and now you're just got more responsibilities? Talk about that from your perspective.
I'll start it with these words. I'm a baseball lifer. So I really love the game, and I take over practices. The head coach is like, what do you think about this? I'm like, absolutely. And then these 5 more things we're going to do, just getting the kids ready for the games. And it starts with, breaking things down on a smaller scale, and then building up. I'm all about progressions. If you see anything I post on Instagram, like I did a catcher progressions where we put 2 screens right in front of the mound, and
Yep.
there was a small hole to throw through, and then the next one was even smaller, and then it was smaller. So always, having an understanding of how to build those progressions that they can just put it forth in the game. And that's what I love about being an associate head coach now. More responsibility, more say in the practices and how they're run, and the kids benefited from it, too, because now I was the pitching coach last year, so I was kind of like caught in the bullpen, and then I would try to come back and help. But now my focus is, we hired a pitching coach, so now my focus is the whole general vibe of the team, and that's what we're big on. I walk in with a big speaker, and I'm playing country music. I'm playing everything. I'm like, what I tell the captains, I'm like, what do you want to hear today? How are we going to get motivated for practice? Let's go. Put the volume up, and everybody starts working. And that's
great.
that's the fun part of it.
That's great. Well, that's probably a little bit of your Texas background, right? A little country music, bringing it up to the
from New York to Texas and then back to New York, right?
Hey, you can't go wrong. I'm Southern Missouri, and the country music can be just as motivating. I think that's fantastic. When you're looking for kids, because I'm sure that you're part of the recruiting process, right? You're bringing in the kids that you want to develop and to coach. Talk about your philosophy. What are you looking for? And be specific. I think this is one of the things that you read a lot of things on social media of what you need to do, what age you should be focused on. That I don't know if kids really get it. And so from a coach's perspective, tell us what you mean by being ready, by being focused on baseball. You said you're a lifer, right? There's you can't explain it. It's hard to explain. It's more of a lifestyle. So talk about what that means and what you're looking for from a player.
Well, I think I'll start it with this. I feel like the most important thing is if you're going to go to a school and you're looking to go to school, you should be at their practices. You should be at their games. You should see how the head coach runs everything. You should see how all the other coaches are involved, and see if that's a good fit for you. Once you're there, we recruit you. We're recruiting kids to make an immediate impact. Those days of, oh, well, you got to sit and pay your dues for 2 years until these guys leave. No, if you can help us win a game, you're going to be on the field over a senior. So that's the big mindset right now that we have over there. And the two words are production and opportunity. Like, what are you doing so that you can produce on the field? What are you going to do with that opportunity that you're given? And for me, it starts with how you're waking up, how you're managing your time. Are you getting a full lift in? Because what we do is, obviously we meet with our strength and conditioning coach, but we really like to sit there and be like, how is this kid today? How is this kid? Those kids that are sort of on the bubble.
Yeah.
Like, as a coach, it sounds terrible, but you fill up a roster that's pretty big. Now you're looking to get rid of kids. So don't give me a reason to get rid of you by you
Yep.
not working hard in the gym. So being able to produce immediately is why we lean towards getting pitchers at the top of our recruiting list, because we look for a certain type of pitcher, how we feel in the next couple of years he'll progress. And then, anybody that can make an immediate impact on our organization and help us win, that's the prime point of our recruiting process.
That's great. That's great. You talk about fit. Every coach talks about fit, and fit is different from everybody, right? How does a player know that they're a good fit for you, both from what they should be looking at with you and what you're looking at for them?
Well, part of the recruiting process is also knowing the position that you play, not what you think you play, the actual position you play. Because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, so how's the recruiting process? I'm like, I'm just so frustrated with the kid saying, oh, I play second, third, short, and first. You know what that tells me? That tells me that you didn't have a primary position that you were good at. Somebody had to move you to another position. So
Interesting.
really focus in on being that best player you can at that position, and then let the coach move you around.
Okay.
For you to sit there and say, I could play anywhere, coach. Well, you know what? That tells me like you're a jack of all trades, master of none. I need the focus to be on what's your strength and how it's
Okay.
going to help us win a game. So being fit for me is like not rolling into practice exhausted. You're managing your time, you're eating good, your lifts are good, and you're getting your sleep, because a lot of kids don't understand that in their first year. It's called a freshman 15. You gain 15 pounds, and that's because you're doing a lot of things you're not supposed to. So being fit is important because it adds longevity to your stamina and it helps us win a game, man. And that's what it comes down to. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. What can you do to help us win a game?
Yeah. No, that's good. Okay. So how do you figure that out, coach? I mean, you've done this for a while. I'm sure it's just kind of something that comes naturally to you. One of the things that I get a lot is coaches, young coaches that are watching this, and they're trying to figure out how do you do it, right? Your job is to find these kids that fit well into your program. There's probably a lot of ones that you've made a mistake. Well, how do you reduce the mistakes? And what are some of the things that you're really looking for? You talked about coming into practice tired and doing your reps. Are these questions that you're asking these kids? Is this things that they can provide to you? How do you kind of shuffle through all of these players that are good players, but really trying to figure out what makes sense for you as for a program?
Right. So we pay attention to our conference. We pay attention to the types of hitters in our conference, the types of pitchers into our conference, and that's how we recruit. If we have this guy, like we play this specific team, I won't get into names or nothing like that, but we'll play a specific team where they have a bunch of hitters that can't hit curveballs. We're trying to recruit a guy that knows how to throw a curveball or slider. So we
Okay.
get very specific on that, and that eliminates a lot of players because anybody can throw a fastball, anybody can have some velo, but what are you going to throw when you're behind on the count? Like, what are you going to throw to get these hitters that we are trying to beat in our conference? So I think my best advice is pay attention to your conference and recruit according to those guys that you want to get out. Like those all conference players, their weaknesses, he can't hit a guy that throws from down like a sidearm guy. Guess what that guy's going to face in the 8th and 9th inning? That guy.
Yeah.
So, that helps us recruit like that. And to be honest, we do pay attention to body types because let's be honest, the smaller you are, the less muscle you have on your body will break down. It's going to break down, and then now that sets not only you back, that sets us back because we wasted a spot on our roster, and you
Right.
can't get the strength and stamina that's needed to compete. So that's a big
Interesting.
factor. You got to look
Okay.
the part. Got to look the
Yeah.
part.
No, that's great. Where do you find the players, Coach? Where do you go? Is it open to everywhere? I mean, do you go to certain showcases? Are there tournaments that you go to? Is it camps that you have on the on campus? How do you find the players?
Well, you got to get a little you got to get a little, like, how do we say it? You got to get a little shifty with those things, because showcases are good. There are showcases that are just there, and the best talent is not there. The best
Right.
organization that paid first is there. So we're heavy on receiving video from recruits, looking at the video, and then along with the video they send us, hopefully they're sending us the schedule of what their summer looks like. And now that's how we navigate our summer recruiting through that, which is very important, because if we're looking for a specific type of pitcher and he wants to come from California to New York, like, if you're not that specific type of pitcher, like, hey, you can come, but like, this is what we're looking for. So it becomes a little tricky with that, but we try to go to anywhere where there's kids that we feel are going to make an immediate impact. Like I said, you got to be
Yep.
productive
Yep.
as soon as possible. As soon as possible. The sooner you learn how to be productive on the field, and what I mean by productive doesn't mean home runs, doesn't mean base hits. It means every little possible thing you can do to help us win a game. Whether you're on the bench and it comes down to saying, "Coach, he's like moving his glove like this on a curveball." Now you helped us win a game. Like,
Yeah.
so, from that to a home run is very important. It was not really thought about, and it comes from kids not really watching the game.
Boy, that's so true. You talk about baseball IQ all the time, right? The level of IQ of understanding the game. One of the last questions you mentioned was, or the statement that you made was videos. We love seeing videos coming from these players, but you can also go on social media and see thousands and thousands of videos. There's really bad ones and there's really good ones. What are good videos from your perspective?
It's funny because I got a little graphic last night. I watched the video and all I hear is, "That's my boy," him in the background. I'm like, so I posted in my story. I'm like, "Hey, can you incoming athletes and prospects, can you do me a favor? The video that you're gonna send to possibly your future coach, can you tell the person in the background to shut the F up? Like, can you tell them shut up? Like, record video. I want to see you. I want to hear your bat. I want to see how you
Right.
run. I don't want to, like, turn the volume down because somebody's yelling." So that's big for me. As I guess I'm a little picky like that. That's big for me. But usually the guys that we get video from are, and this is big too when kids that need to understand the recruiting process, is pay attention to the school. Like, our school is a nursing and business program. We have a sports science program. It's very important that if those are the three main things that they want to do, now they've already done that research and they
Yeah.
said to themselves or their family, hopefully they sat down with their family and said, "Mom and Dad, this is it for me. Let's get my video going." And now when we receive that video, it's not like just a mass video of like, "I'm interested in your school." Now they've already done the research, and now we can sit there and like, okay, I see that Mike in the email. I see that Mike is interested in our nursing program or our sports science program. Boom! Now I want to watch his video because
Good.
that tells me he did the research, right? So we
Good.
watch the video, and then while we're watching video, we're writing down. We before we start the video, we have a sheet of like our needs, our wants, and our top dream come true type player. And then we start breaking it down from there, and we invite them to the camps, which are very important, because if you're going to go to the school's camp, now you're in front of your school's
Yeah.
coaches. The school that you want to go to is coaches, not just a camp where there are a lot of coaches there. Now you got the eyes of all the coaching staff that you might want to go to, which is big, and I highly recommend that.
Man, that is great advice. I mean, you starting at the player doing their own research, and that is something that we really focus on here with the Baseball Blue Book. The information's out there, right? Do your research. What do you want to do? And maybe there's a couple of areas. A lot of young kids, they don't know really what they want to do, but there's an idea, right? They want to be in business. That doesn't mean you need to know exactly what you want to go into business, right? But you've done your research, you found it out. What are some other things that are unique to your program that would add to that research? I mean, you're certainly the location is one. Is it a small school? Is it a big school? Is it campus life school? Talk a little bit about the program, what makes you guys maybe a little unique.
I think the best part about us is like we have the Metro North train is right behind, right? And programs for the school aside, the student campus life. There's a lot of things going on in this world right now, and our school seems to like really notice it. And they're the community, the campus life. There's a lot of activity going on that everybody that has any type of specific interest in or want to be a part of, it's there. It's there. So we have the Dobbs Ferry campus that's in Terrytown. And then we have the Bronx campus and we have a Manhattan campus. So we have 3 different campuses.
Okay.
But our dorm rooms are in Dobbs Ferry. And this what I really love the most about it, to be honest, and I've visited a bunch of schools, heard from my son that played in a bunch of schools, is like the sports program is really a tight knit community that reaches out to everybody on campus and brings them like come to our game. We're gonna go to you have an open mic poetry thing. We'll have our baseball team go there just to be a
Awesome.
part of stuff like that. And being a part of the community is important too, because we could sit there and say, hey, be a part of your community, but what are you doing for your community?
Right.
Like we're trying to bring out like the sports side of things. We're trying to bring out events on our campuses, and we have a new president. She's amazing, and like so, all the things that you would want on a campus are really there for you. Here's a small thing, but it's actually could be a big thing. On the business side, our alumni is really good on all sports, and it's a tight knit community. Like you come out of Mercy, and I'm in Mercy. I was an alumni in Mercy. Like I'm gonna hire you. Like that's what we do. We try to spread the love like that, and that's a big heavy thing conversation that we have with our alumni. Listen, you got to open your doors to our alumni, and for the guys coming in as an alumni, the guys
Right.
graduating, we need a home for them, and that's what we've been working heavy on, and it's pretty good right now.
No, I think that's fantastic, especially smaller schools like that. You really have, you need a tight knit community, and the community, like you said, isn't just going to a baseball game. It goes out to the workforce. It goes out to other places, and it continues throughout the life. Well, one of the things, a coach that I talked to a few weeks ago, he talked about making a decision. It's not a 4-year decision. It's a lifetime decision, and so kind of expand on that a little bit. With the players, you've talked about players that are productive opportunity from the very beginning. As soon as you step onto the campus, to be productive. But what does that mean beyond just the baseball side?
Oh, well, I told you I'm a baseball lifer, so this is going to be sort of the baseball side, but not really. So
Okay.
it's on off the field. Like my big thing is when I got to grab somebody's attention because they're looking off to the side. I'm like, hey, buddy, like these things right now that I'm teaching you are the things you're going to teach your kids, and your kids are going to teach their kids. So please save my sport. Like pay attention to the things I need to tell you because it's going to be passed along.
Yeah.
And and the time management that we really speak about, like a lot of college coaches speak about, we were heavily involved. We're like, hey, what's going on? Like every day it's a small conversation individually or collectively. Like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Is everything aligned with not only you graduating on time, but
Right.
you getting a job and then you coming back and giving us a lot of money at the alumni game? So that's what we talk about.
It's great. It's a circle. It's a perfect circle, right? It just goes round and round. I think that's a great philosophy because it's a selfish, but it's not selfish because you're teaching the next generation, right? You're trying and you're teaching them that there's no rest. There's not a time to shut down. You have to stay on your game. There's a lot of competition from a baseball perspective. That's why I love about talking to baseball coaches, because you're able to take this baseball competition and apply it into their life. And I love that. Very few people are going to make it to the majors. There's a whole lot of other areas that they got to be competitive in and be successful in. And creating those type of players is really what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Coach, this has been a lot of fun. You add a ton of advice. We could probably keep going, and I'm going to have you back on, and we'll probably go into some other areas. But I really appreciate the opportunity to get to know you. What's the best way? You talked about there's some showcases that you look at. That you talked about video. There's also the campus, the actual camps on campus. Email. tell the people, the viewers, if they're interested in taking a look at your program, what's the best thing that they can do?
First, like we discussed, start the email with, I've researched your school and it's a fit for my, for me and what I might want to do with the rest of my life. Now I'm interested to see your video. And then it goes from there. I'll see your video. I'll see how you would fit in our program. We'll respond to you and say, hey, our camp is coming up. We'd like to see you. And, that's also the conversation we have when we go to showcases. Like, my first question is like, I'm like, hey, brother, you had a good game. What's your GPA? I need to know that really quick. Not that it's really hard to get in our school, but
right.
GPA is the window. It's a window to, like, you can open the window and it'll be great, or that window is going to stay closed because now this kid is not going to be at practice. He's going to have to be at work, study hall. He's going to have to be getting all the extra work in. So we want students. We want good students, number one, and that's what we look for. We pay attention to everything. I saw something that you guys did, like, I forgot the coach's name, and as far as like the Gatorades and stuff like that.
Oh,
absolutely. When I was coaching these guys when they were 11, 12, and that was the first conversation I had. I'm like, hey, I'm Frank Rodriguez. Forget about my major league experience. I am now a college coach. I am going to teach your 11 and 12-year-old how to be a college ready player. And that starts with no more Gatorades. You cannot give them Gatorades.
Yes, that was Tom from Du Bois, Penn State.
Absolutely.
He is great. He got, I laughed because it was his daughters that called him and said, "Dad, you're viral on Instagram." And he looked it up, and it was, man, it brought up some heated conversation. But I absolutely agree with what you said. The small things are those windows. It's not just the GPA, it's everything. There's little things. And you said it earlier. You said, don't do something that's going to take me off to take you off the list, right?
Yes.
That's what it's all about. You got to stay on the list as long as you possibly can, and then focus on what you know best. And you, boy, again, you provided so much great information on today's podcast. I really appreciate the opportunity. Coach Rodriguez, associate head coach with the Mercy University. Thank you so much, sir.
Good to have you, brother. I'm be glad to come back. Let me know.
Awesome. I'm going to